This is the Fierce Heart Alliance. Our focus is spirituality with purpose, exquisite self-care, and conscious community. Hi, I'm Summer Sophia Moon, and I've come here to heal myself and chew bubblegum. And guess what? I'm all out of bubblegum. So join me and my special guests as we share and learn how to love ourselves fiercely through self-care and explore the wisdom of the harmonic virtues. These virtues are based on the laws of the universe and channeled wisdom to cultivate more resiliency, purpose, and harmony through self-care and self-awareness. By listening, you are now a fierce heart too. Welcome to the Fierce Heart Alliance. This is the Fierce Heart Alliance. Our focus is spirituality with purpose, exquisite self-care, and conscious community. Hi, I'm Summer Sophia Moon, and I've come here to heal myself and chew bubblegum. And guess what? I'm all out of bubblegum. So join me and my special guests as we share and learn how to love ourselves fiercely through self-care and explore the wisdom of the harmonic virtues. These virtues are based on the laws of the universe and channeled wisdom to cultivate more resiliency, purpose, and harmony through self-care and self-awareness. By listening, you are now a fierce heart too. Welcome to the Fierce Heart Alliance. Before we begin today's topic, I'd like to say thank you to our listeners and our subscribers. You're always welcome here. We'd like to honor the indigenous peoples whose land we reside. Thank you for showing us how to be in harmony with Mother Earth. Thank you to the ancestors and spirit guides and friends who are assisting us here today. May these words be a force for good and timelessly infused with light and held in the frequency of rose quartz to spread healing and peace in the world around us. If there's any words left unsaid, we trust in spirit to make things right and let it gently ease into our consciousness as necessary for understanding in our own time and in our own way for the highest and most benevolent outcomes for all. And so it is. Thank you. Hey, Fierce Hearts. This is a bonus integration episode for the virtue of love. And so it's been sitting with me, the words that were channeled about love. And I feel like there's more to say beyond what was already said in the prior episodes. The channeling I got about love that I shared in the last episode was, quote, yes, love is all we need, and it is who we are as souls. It is our main element of energy. We are love manifested in human form. We reincarnate on the planet to learn about love in all its complexities, the lack of it and the abundance of it. It is what humans deeply strive for. Everything is in the pursuit of it or the chase after it, but really we are already love in the first place. So it is just our conditioning that disrupts our perception of it. Many have their own filters of what love is from childhood and combined with their own past lives. End quote. So those words have been sitting with me, and it inspires me to share a story. This story is about myself and my experience with the Divine Mother and how she helped me open up to the love within myself. So I've been intentionally working on myself for the past decade or so, and obviously I've dabbled in family baggage and whatnot. And the question that started my journey long ago was a therapist asked if I have trust issues. And the people pleaser in me, I was, just kind of caught off guard, and I nervously laughed and I said, I'm fine. I trust everyone. But the question just kept bugging me. And so eventually I gave in, I Googled it, and it took me down a rabbit hole of self-work and self-healing. And fast forward 10 years, I'm still figuring it out, but I've made some big shifts and I've made a lot of progress, and I'm very proud of the woman that I am today. And I really feel that there are many of us who are here on this earth at this time to do this work and heal ourselves and our ancestral lineage. And this is tough work. So hats off to any of you who are taking this on. So about my story, when I do this kind of work on myself, it tends to come in waves. And this one particular wave took about 3 years to crest and finally develop some understanding. And in that time, it just felt like chaos and heartbreak. And I was called to see how people are showing up in my life and if they follow through. without getting into the nitty gritty, there were three separate experiences and people that set me up for expectation. And then I was crushed with disappointment and felt the word devastated with like air quotes around it. I keep coming back to this word. And so what's interesting is that each time something in me cried out that I felt devastated, I felt, wow, okay, I'm starting to see a theme. There's that word again. And so then I paused and I needed to take a deeper look at this. Like, what is this devastation? Like, why does this keep coming up for me? What is this? Who or what aspect in me is devastated? And so devastation in me equated losing my faith or my trust in that person or those people. And it was soul crushing. And in the moment, it was an intense feeling. It felt as if my skin was being pulled off my body, or it felt shamanic in that I was being dismembered. It was nothing like I'd ever experienced before. It was deep and visceral. In hindsight, I realized it was on some level tearing away the old facade for me. In the moment, it was extremely painful, like ripping a Band-Aid off. But after getting some spaciousness away from it and taking some time to process, after the third experience, I finally shattered into a million pieces, what felt like. And it took me a while to recover from that. And, then I'd have to get a little bit more space. And finally, after the third time, okay, everything runs in threes. Here it is, number three. So my trust issues by that time were flared, and I felt uncomfortable around even familiar people. And suffice to say, I had to pull back and withdraw to heal myself. I had to minimize the damage and protect myself. Luckily, I did have a few safe people in my life who I could turn to, and I was working with a therapist. So I knew that on some level I had support, and I also had myself. But I did have to put up boundaries with those people, and they were not used to me doing so. And I also might not have been so graceful as I could have been, but it is what it is. And it was a very rough time for me. I also was moving and I was changing jobs at the time, and it was a lot of chaos, a lot of upheaval mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, basically every level. And when I finally recovered, I was able to take some time and review the word devastated and just review just how all the pieces fell and finally regroup and take care of myself. So flash forward in the setting of April, it was spring, with the motivation of a Mercury retrograde to go back and review old things and tie up loose ends, and compounded with the powerful eclipse to open up that can of worms to take a look at all that what's in there. Basically setting the stage for me to ask, where do I feel this in my body? And what does it mean to me to be devastated? And what aspect of me feels devastated? Like, who in me? Asking all those questions. And I finally was able to visualize what the devastation looks like to me. And in doing this, I sat at my altar and I drummed and I meditated and I spoke to my guides, and I sat there, and soon what happened was pretty incredible. And I felt this movie playing out before me, and I was basically meditating, and I had a vision, and I just felt very neutral, and I felt like I was just watching what was happening and playing out. And so at first I was in the dark, and then I'm basically walking in the dark, and I come across, finally something came into view. And what I saw broke my heart. I saw my inner maiden on the floor, and a dreadful sight. She was hunched with her knees tight and close to her chest, and she was tattered, she was dirty, and she was surrounded by barbed wire. And I thought, wow, it was quite a scene to see her like that. And it was hard to witness and accept that. And after a few minutes of viewing her, something kicked in, and I just saw myself removing the barbed wire off of her, and I carried her out still hunched in the ball. I carried her out of that darkness that she was in, and I saw myself carrying her to a sacred cave. And inside this sacred cave was the most ancient grandmother sitting cross-legged by a fire, and she was a very large presence, a very large being, and she was wearing this like red cloth that was draping over her, and I placed my maiden in her lap and in her arms. I covered her with silk and cashmere blankets and just something really luxurious and comforting and nurturing. And the ancient grandmother gave her this bowl of the most healing tea. And the maiden slept in the grandmother's arms like a baby. The vision ended there, and I was able to function and go back into the real world. But I kept tuning in back into there and just seeing what the progress and how it was occurring. The next day, wouldn't you know, I woke up with a head cold. My cycle went from super light to extremely heavy, and that helped me know that, okay, I'm onto something very deep and my body is reacting to this. And so I ended up calling in sick because I just felt like total crap, and I slept half the day. But then the afternoon I got up and I went back to my altar and I tuned back into this vision, and it just felt like something that I needed to do. So I was listening to it, and I was delighted to see that my inner maiden was awake and she was alert, and she had uncurled her knees from her chest, and I was really happy to see that. But then sitting there for a moment, I noticed that she had a cat in her lap, that she was hunched around a cat. So now the cat, taking awareness about that, the cat was emaciated. Its eyes were huge and fearful, and I took the cat out of her lap and I set it down. And my understanding of this cat was that it represented my trust. And wow, it was kind of hard to see as well. And it was in such a frightful state. So I gently took the cat and I gave it a nice little comfortable bed, and I gave it a bowl of milk. And this bowl of milk represents trust and safety. And then I gave it some love and attention, and the vision ended there, and I went back to bed and I journaled and I rested. And the following day, I took some more time, went and sat at my altar, and I checked into the vision. And to my delight, the inner maiden and the cat were dancing and playing, and it really made my heart sing. And so after the vision concluded, I was intuitively told that the Divine Mother that I was connecting with, I was to continue to meditate with her. And it really did feel like a warm blanket. It feels like the cracks got smoothed over with the sweetest, softest salve, or, and then it's either, I think it's Japanese or Chinese pottery, where they fill in cracks of pottery with gold. And or like a really dry sponge that got filled up with moisture and nourished, basically. But I realized in this journey to heal myself and understand myself, I've been low-key searching for something deep that's never really been filled by my mother or my family. And I am just coming to terms with that I've been searching for something, but I've never really been able to fill that void. And so I've been doing all this self-work, like really trying to hit that itch, or, like fill that need that I've been wanting. And I don't blame them. I don't blame my family. I've come to a point where I understand that they are humans too. And while I did and do deserve better, they were doing the best within their ability, and as anyone does. But was it good enough for me? No. Did I need more? Yes. And at the same time, it wasn't enough, and I've always longed for something outside of myself to fill those needs, when the truth is we have all we need inside of us, and all we have to do is just find those aspects in ourselves that are closed off to that love of flow. And I definitely was. So connecting with the love of the Divine Mother helped me open to the loving energy that my soul had longed for. And it's just the awareness that that's already existing for me. That's already existing for us. And I definitely received love from others in my life. But if you're so depleted thinking that you're missing something, it's really hard to receive it. And so I've gone back and I've done some processing, and it also brought me to processing the maiden journey and bringing her on the journey with me as the journey continues, because it just felt like a really profound healing experience that I'm still processing because the journey continues. So the integration part of this episode is for you to find your own self that needs love. And this is called reparenting. Our parents did their best. They're human. They have their own wounds from their childhood. This is what's called healing the lineage, basically. And when we reparent ourselves, we can fill our cup in the needs that were not met for various reasons. And sometimes our inner self needs a hug or a teddy bear, or sometimes a cookie. Sometimes they just need to know that it's safe, that we're safe, and that we are the adult. We can take ownership and we can witness them having a tantrum, even though everything is fine, but we can sit with them and say, it's going to be okay. So I've spent the last 8 years reparenting myself, and that's just one of many stories that I have. But I feel connecting with the Divine Mother energy was incredibly healing, and was that taproot that I've been looking for, that really helped to fill up the cup that has been empty for so long. So my task to you is to try to find connection to the Divine Mother in a way that speaks for you, because how I did it speaks for me, but how it speaks for you is going to be completely different. So it doesn't also have to be very complicated either. It can be very easy. It can be very simple. You can just intend to connect with her, and eventually you will feel some kind of subtle sense of comfort. And you can call her by name. There are so many Divine Mother goddesses out there from different cultures around the world. In the show notes, I've provided a link to a Wikipedia page with all the mother goddesses from Christianity, Egyptian, Indian, African, Asian. Some of the names are Demeter, Ceres, Danu, Durga, Freya, Gaia, Hathor, Inanna, Isis, Ishil, Kali, Virgin Mary, Parvati. Those are just some of the many Divine Mothers. Find what speaks to you, because it's about you and your connection to her, and it's your connection to your heart. Call her by name. Ask her for help. We have allies on the other side that want to help us, but that we don't know that we can call on them. And it would be wonderful for you to have a journal and take a moment to listen to that little voice inside of you who's asking for something, and see what you can do to take care of those needs. Because that's our job in this life. No one else is going to do it for us. Because no one else is going to really know our deep wants and needs unless we realize them ourselves first. And we can welcome people in on that journey, but it's a fruitless journey to try and seek it outside of ourselves to be fulfilled instead of doing it within. And we might be able to get love from other people, but it won't be the same. We'll continue to have this bottomless pit sort of need until we can fulfill our own needs within, and remember that we are already love and are love personified within. And so is everyone else. So that can help us bring compassion to our journey as well. Well, that's our episode for this week. Please like and subscribe. It helps this podcast more than you know, and you can follow the Fierce Heart Alliance on social media for weekly inspiration. On our website is a free gift. Subscribe and you will get a free download for your own guide to work with the harmonic virtues, and also 52 suggestions for practical self-care year-round. Our next week's episode is our self-care episode with Catherine LaFond. Take care, Fierce Hearts. Till next time.